just to confirm or get it out of the way, Chelsea Randall, what's her current condition like?
So Chelsea won't play this week, progressing really well. As we've said a few times, we're probably going to be a touch more conservative this time around, even though we felt as though we did everything by the book and to the letter last time. Just the fact that it's a similar injury suggests we're going to be a bit more conservative, but she's tracking really well. As soon as she's going to play, I'm going to let you know.
Thank you. When you say she's tracking really well, is she training with the group? Is she just on light duties? What's she doing at the moment?
No. As soon as she's training fully with the group, she'll be playing. So she's just working through a rehab program. Basically, yeah, but that is tracking well.
We'll wait for the team, but can you sort of give us an update on terms of changes or possible inclusions this week?
So minimal change. We do have Tia Charlton available again after missing last week through health and safety protocols, and she's been in pretty good form, so I'd reckon she'll be a fair chance.
Is it nice to have minimal change for once, considering COVID sort of knocked you about for the past couple of weeks?
Yeah, it hasn't been too dramatic. We've been fortunate in that, yes, we have had some changes, but they've always been sort of 2, 3, I think 4 has been the most we've had, and it's allowed us to expose, players within the squad who, needed opportunity or deserved opportunity. So thus far, touch wood, it's been manageable.
How do you keep motivation ongoing, considering you guys keep on winning week in, week out?
My experience is that motivation is not a drama when you're winning. So I don't think it's an issue at all. It's we're very aware that it's a really short season, and so every game is just super valuable to us as a team and to individuals as players. And then if you are having a successful season, as we have done so far, then it's great to be part of, and everyone wants to be involved. So motivation, clearly no issue.
This current crop that you've got, everyone's been all year, you and the players have been speaking about the depth and how good the group is. Is this probably the best crop or the best team that the AFL Crows have ever had, or the AFLW team at least?
I don't know. Well, my answer in short is yes, but that's only because the standard of the competition has risen each year, and therefore, by extension, each season the team is a bit better than it has been in the past. So I think the natural evolution of the competition means that yes, this team is in really good shape. But yeah, I'm really comfortable with the depth. I mean, for those that follow the SANFL, we had really strong performances at that level, including Brooke Tonnen, who kicked 6 goals, which is pretty outstanding in her first game this season. It was the first game for everyone, but she was ready for a hit out and obviously showed that she's ready to go. But even beyond that, all of our players played SANFL, played really well. So we're really, really happy with how everyone's tracking.
Final one from me. How do you sort of clean up the efficiency in the forward third of the field that you've been sort of working on and talking about the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, well, we continue to practice. Sometimes it's an outcome of really good defensive pressure as well. So as much as we want to be perfect, that's not going to be possible because the opponents are there to try and negate that. So we continue to work on it in our training, but we're also mindful of not beating ourselves up too much. Understand that this is a contested game. It's the toughest game in the world, so it's not going to be perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
All right, Hazy, are you here from 7?
Yeah, I am. How you going? G'day, Doc. How are you guys?
Yeah, good.
That's right, mate. Just quickly, in terms of the bigger picture, and I want to set you up for a little 1 week at a time cliche, but are you talking about the bigger picture, and how do you stop when it's such a short season, you've got so many premiership players? How do you, I suppose, keep a lid on things when clearly you guys are talked about now as in the box seat to do something pretty special?
Yeah, well, I guess you referenced the fact that we're halfway through a season. So 5 games in, we couldn't hope to be in any better position, clearly. But the reality is it's 5 games in, and there's a long way to go, and there's a lot will transpire over the next period of time. We're aspirational in terms of each season we set out to perform as well as we possibly can. And the first step is to try and qualify for the finals. So our immediate focus is to win as many games as we can, or to win enough games to qualify for finals. And we've still got some work to do on that front. So it's pretty easy to maintain a relatively short-term focus. One, because every game is really hard. So last week would be a great example whereby in the end we had a comfortable victory, but right up until three-quarter time, it was a live game, and certainly the contested numbers were pretty even at that point. So yes, every game's really hard. Second piece is we've still got a lot of work to do to make finals, and then if we're good enough to do that, then we can set our focus for what that entails.
Shakesy touched on it before with the forward line efficiency, but across the ground, are there areas that you need to improve on, or is it a case of just doing more of what you're doing?
No, we've got bucket loads to improve on. And the players are sort of embracing that as well. So we're not by no means that we're very happy with what we've been able to achieve, but we're certainly not satisfied in terms of the way that we're playing the game. Certain elements, there's not too much to lift up, but yeah, we've got a lot of improvement to come, and we need to chase that really hard.
Brilliant. Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Awesome. Thanks, Hazy. Liz? Yeah.
Thanks, Emily. Hi, Doc. What about Hatchards' foot? She finished the game last week on the bench. How is she?
Yeah, she only came off in the last three to 4 minutes. She's really, really well. It was round when we played West Coast over there. She didn't finish out that game, but other than that, she's been able to get through. It is something that she's managing, but it's actually improving. So, and she's able to, as we saw on the weekend, essentially fulfill the full game. So every team will have players that are managing small, minor issues, and Anne is doing that, but doing it pretty bloody well, to be honest. So we push on.
So you're not going to have any COVID changes this week, you don't think? Touchwood. Yeah.
At this point in time, and obviously we've still got training tonight, and then we've got to get through the weekend. But at this stage, we shouldn't. So we'll see.
You must be quite pleased then with the way, the sacrifices that the team is making to sort of minimise the exposure that they have in the community. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it comes down to luck as well, I'm sure, but you must be happy, that COVID hasn't ravaged you yet.
Yeah, well, it's a big dose of luck, and because we've for the whole period we've been doing everything we possibly can, and yet we've still had a number of cases. So the fact that we don't at this moment in time, I'm not sort of counting any chickens, because I think we're going to get some more. But yeah, we have asked, and the players have sort of initiated a risk mitigation approach to the life, which is not great, but the trade-off is obviously the lure of being able to keep playing footy every weekend is pretty strong.
Just on COVID, you may have heard some sort of rumblings coming from interstate. People are sort of talking about this season being quite compromised because of COVID. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that this is a compromised season?
Well, I think it'll shake out. I think there's no doubt that at times, it may have an impact in terms of if a particular player is not available. But once again, I guess you'd stress that each team is going to be confronted by that at some point in time, and the challenge for each team is to manage that and to draw on the depth of their squad, and to use all of their players to the best of their ability. So obviously we'd all prefer that not to be the case, but it is the case. And I don't know, but I would suggest that once we get to the finals, then the teams that make the finals will be deserving of those positions. So in that regard, I don't think it'll be compromised, no.
You're going to go in probably, as favourites against the Western Bulldogs, but they're coming off a win, and I imagine you can't take them lightly with the likes of Elly Blackburn running around, and Kirsty Lamb's been really good for them too.
Yeah, certainly that midfield, as always, that midfield battle is going to be really interesting. They've got two really strong rucks as well. So, and then they've got at either end, they've got a lot of young talent. They've had a lot of high draft picks over the last couple of years. And so all of those players are emerging, and they've had a slightly interrupted start to the season, but they had a really strong win on the weekend, and the game before they pushed Fremantle right to the edge. So yeah, they're starting to hit their straps, and they've got talent. So that's a dangerous combination. Our challenge is to maintain the intensity that we've brought for all 5 weeks, and to not let up on that. So yeah, as I highlighted in the earlier question, we've got lots of areas we want to keep getting better in, and so that's a focus. But we've got a genuine, strong opponent this weekend that's going to challenge us.
Brilliant. Thanks, Doc.
Thanks, Liz. Danny from the Victor Times.
Hey, Doc. How you going?
Hey, Danny.
I asked last week about how closely you pay attention to the AFLW, and you touched before on Brooke, her performance.
Yeah.
Wondering what you thought of it and how close she is to making her debut.
She couldn't do much more in terms of an individual game. It was outstanding. She wasn't the only one. We're really pleased. Jazz Hewitt played a great game with Sturt. Zoe Prowse played a really strong game. Mackenzie Darrick and Jazz Simmons went back and played really well for the Eagles. So we had 5 play and play their roles really well. We also had Abby Ballard, who dropped out of the side and had been playing really well at AFLW level as well. So really happy with all of the performances. It is tough. The team is performing well at AFLW level, so you've got to really make that case to push somebody out. But certainly, 6 goals, 2 and 21, and plenty of contest wins is making a pretty good case. So she's certainly in consideration. Whether or not it's this week, and whether or not she can replicate that exact form, we probably don't expect that. But it's certainly demonstrating that she's got some capabilities that are going to hold her in good stead when the opportunity presents.
She seems a bit versatile as well. I've just seen that Glenelg have named her at half-back this week.
Yeah, well, we've trained it. Last year she played half-back almost exclusive for Glenelg, and we've seen her train half-forward, half-back, a little bit of wing. So that versatility adds to our side and our flexibility and our options in terms of getting an opportunity.
Yeah, sure. Obviously playing against Bulldogs, and Hannah Manyard obviously started her career there. Yes. I know she's been with you for a couple of years now, but do you get any insider knowledge from her?
Last year we might have delved there, but it's probably, as you say, a little bit too much water under the bridge now. So we'll just let Hannah just focus on her game, and we get plenty of opposition tape in terms of their previous games, so we use that as our main reference tool. Every now and then, if a player comes from a different club, you might seek out some extra information, but not in this case, no.
No worries. And Liz touched on it before with Elly Blackburn and Kirsty Lamb. They're always pretty strong. Will you be looking at how to shut them down individually, or do you back your team to shut them down as a unit? Yeah,
there's probably a little bit of both. Kirsty Lamb last week was outstanding, and Ellie's probably one of the premier midfield pushing forward players in the comp. So you've got to be respectful of all your opponents, and there's probably what I would say on that front is probably a contingency. So generally we'll try to back system and the way we go about it, but you always need to have a contingency if a player is causing you just a little bit too much grief. So have an option to go to try and negate that player.
Beauty. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Danny. Sarah from Edge of the Crowd.
How are you?
G'day, Sarah.
I just wanted to quickly touch on Montana, and we saw she was rewarded this week with her Rising Star norm. How have you seen her role, and also the role of Caitlin, and how they've worked in tandem this year? Yeah,
no, really, really happy. Obviously, particularly happy for Montana to be recognised. And we spoke just then about the SNFL form, great SNFL form. So Montana's story is that she didn't get a game at all last year. She played SNFL for the whole season and played really, really well, but the opportunity just didn't present. And so she's getting some reward for not only her recent effort, but for her effort over an extended period. So really pleased for her. And in terms of the combination, yeah, I think we've got a really good challenge this week, 2 really strong rucks that they'll come up against. But their ability to share that workload and also just to spend a little bit of time forward and try to provide us with some aerial presence down there has been really important for us. So all things being equal, that's the way we'll continue. It may not be the case. Sometimes there's other scenarios where you perhaps don't play two genuine rucks, but at this stage we'll probably continue with that, certainly for this week, given our opponents.
Yeah, definitely. How do their styles sort of differ, and how do you select who starts versus who's starting on the bench? And does the opposition come into it specifically, or are you more so looking at dealing with the group? No,
a little bit. So a little bit of everything, a little bit of judgment, a little bit of opponent, and then sometimes we just toss a coin. Yeah,
fair enough. Just one last one quickly on the weather for Sunday. It's been pushed back, the game, so should be some slightly nicer conditions. But how is the group preparing for some warmer weather?
Yeah. So I think originally it was scheduled to be maybe 37 degrees, but I think that's backed off a bit, back into the sort of low 30s. The pre-Christmas was a relatively mild summer, but we've had some good hot days that we've trained through, and we prepare to play in tough conditions. That's a lot of what the pre-season's about, the understanding that we're going to come up against that. So it'll be a good challenge. We'll actually look forward to it and embrace that, and hopefully turn that to our advantage.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sarah. Have we got Will from Channel 9?
You don't, but you've got Piper standing in for him.
G'day, Piper. How you going?
I'm well. How are you?
Yeah, well.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, it's been an impressive start to the year. No loss so far. One for you as a coach, is this pleasing to you? And given that it is so far a streak, does that give you a target then of going undefeated?
No, there's no target for that. The only target is to try and win each week. So I guess in that regard, it is a target because you want to win every game. But it's not a priority. It's the main emphasis, as I said earlier, is just win enough games to qualify. Win enough games to qualify for the finals. So that's our objective every year. And then if you're good enough to do that, then you can set your sights on what comes next. But every week to win one game of AFLW is really challenging and really rewarding when you do. So for us to have won 5 is magnificent. If we can get to 6, we'll be equally pleased. It's I think someone did say earlier that I wasn't allowed to say 1 week at a time, but but it's footy, so you're allowed to say 1 week at a time.
Fair enough. And it was just mentioned before with the Bulldogs, it's going to be a bit of a difficult game that you're heading into. How are you sort of making sure that the team doesn't fall to complacency, given that you had a streak and they're coming off the back of a win?
Yeah, I honestly don't think it's a massive issue, to be honest. As I said, only 10 games, so you've got to value every one of them. There's no margin for complacency, but there's also, I just don't see it as an issue, to be honest, because we value that game, that ability to come together and play as a team is such it's a rare gift. There's only 10 weeks in the year when we're going to guaranteed to be able to do that. So I don't think there'll ever be a layer of complacency under those scenarios. If you play a 22-week season, then maybe there's ebbs and flows, but you just can't afford it in a 10-week season.